evening and welcome. This is our Monday, February 27, 2017 edition of the Government News Brief. In the news this evening, reconvened Guyana-Suriname Cooperation Council will strengthen collaboration between the neighboring countries. The Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, GCAA, is now closer to implementing aviation regulations, and residents of Region 8 will play a major role in ensuring the Cato Secondary School repairs are done to standard. These and other stories when the news returns. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta LaFleur. Here are the details. The reconvening of the Guyana-Suriname Cooperation Council is seen as a new beginning for the strengthening relations between the neighboring countries. More in this Tiffany Rogers report.
After being dormant for over a decade, the Guyana-Suriname Cooperation Council convened its 7th meeting today. Minister of Foreign Affairs Carl Greenwich, who officially opened the meeting being held here in Georgetown, notes that there was a reduction in the intensity of cooperation between the two countries after the council went inactive. Minister Greenwich charged the council to create the conditions to strengthen relations between the neighboring countries.
Both heads of state rely on you, the esteemed members of the council, to create the conditions for and establish the means by which those prospective advantages can be realized in the shortest possible time.
The commitment to reconvene the council was made during discussions between President David Granger and his Surinamese counterpart, President Desi Bouterse, in December. Head of the Surinamese delegation of the council, Ambassador Dr. John Koladar, says the reconvened Cooperation Council must accelerate the efforts of the two countries to boost development.
I think that this body should not only monitor and see what the several agencies are doing, but also to take initiatives and give guidance in the efforts for the cooperation.
The Guyana-Suriname Cooperation Council was established to deepen and strengthen relations between Guyana and Suriname in areas of economic, health, technology, education, natural resources, and security and general socio-economic realities. For the Government News Brief, Tiffany Rogers.
The Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, GCAA, is now closer to implementing regulations to bolster safety in the aviation industry. Details in this Delon Sanko report.
Director General of the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, Egbert Field, says consultation commenced today on the implementation of safety regulations.
So this is the consultation period. After this period, we will look again at the document. If there are amendments to the regulations based on these comments made by the industry, we'll be doing that in-house, informing them as to the end product, their final product, before proceeding to the next stage, which is having it vetted once again by our legal team before moving to the minister, and then continue for final signing of those regulations.
The Guyana Civil Aviation Authority Director General explains that the regulations were created during mid-last year, but air operations in the industry must have their inputs in the regulations before they're implemented. He notes that the regulations are in keeping with the standards of the International Civil Aviation Organization.
These regulations, they are operations regulations, deals with how operators should operate their operations, pilots, their engineering section, every facet of the rules of the air as advocated by ICAO. Those are embodied in these regulations.
Meanwhile, Field highlights that the regulations for drone operatives are not included in these regulations. Field explains effective today, drone owners and operators are now required to obtain permission from the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority before using these drones. Field explains.
Drones, as you know, it is a new phenomenon in Guyana. As such, we have to be very careful in looking at how we regulate them and the kind of regulations or how we curtail the use of drones. Because drones, they don't only affect other aircraft in the skies flying, but it's also a safety and it's also a security matter.
The Guyana Civil Aviation Authority Director General notes that currently there are no penalties attached to non-compliance, but the authority will be exploring that. Dalan Sanko for the Government News Brief.
Residents of Region 8 will now play a greater role in ensuring that the Cato Secondary School repairs are done in keeping with requisite standards. Isaiah Braffett reports.
On Saturday, 2,000 residents of Region 8 met with a government delegation on the way forward with respect to the defective Cato Secondary School. The delegation comprised Ministers of Public Infrastructure, Education, Indigenous Peoples Affairs, and Social Cohesion. Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson says that government is seeking to correct the mistakes of the past by having the people more involved in the process. During the consultation, the government delegation proposed that an oversight committee be set up. The committee will be made up of 4 members, 2 from the Two Souths Council and 1 each from the Guyana Association of Professional Engineers GAPE and the Regional Democratic Council RDC. Minister Patterson explains.
So it will be a 4-person committee. And if this 4-person committee, which you will have the majority on, does not accept the work, we don't accept the work. So the only way we'll be accepting the school to even move forward is if the community and the 4-person, they come and they inspect and said everything is to our satisfaction. If they don't, we don't accept it. We're not. So therefore, obviously, the power, we're giving you the power to say what happens to the school, when it happens to the school, and those things like that.
The 2,000 residents accepted the proposal. However, it was recommended that training be provided for the 2,000 so that they will have the capacity to understand the scope of work being done.
I do hope that it's going to be a strong committee, and I do hope that this committee will be trained. They will undergo certain trainings to look and know what they're looking for.
That can be arranged. We can actually, when the Two Souths Council or whatever the sub-district, when you select the 2 persons, we can have a session with them on what to expect and what to see, and they will be given a copy of the contract.
After the engagement, an agreement was reached to move forward with the school's repairs.
Now that you've agreed that we should go forward and try to get the school repaired at the fastest possible time, we will now kick we now have your mandate, and we now kick our efforts into high gear. I would hope that we can have everything resolved and starting and by sometime next month, by the end of next month.
Minister Rupert Rupnarain is hoping that the school can be reconstructed and completed in time for the September school term. The school, initiated under the previous administration, cost about $1 billion, but has been deemed unsafe for occupancy. An audit conducted by the independent firm states that it will take about $140 million to fix the defects. Isaiah Braffett for the Government News Brief.
Extension officers from various government ministries and agencies are being trained to support farmers and communities towards building sustainable livelihoods and resilience. Delicia Haynes tells us more.
The United Nations Development Program in Guyana, in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO, is hosting a 2-day workshop focusing on mainstreaming disaster risk management, disaster risk reduction in the agriculture sector in Guyana. A group of extension and field officers representing various stakeholder ministries and agencies will participate in the workshop. FAO's representative Ruben Robertson says that the facilitation of this workshop is timely since progress in food and nutrition security and poverty enhancement has rolled back due to the negative effects of climate change.
These negative impacts of climate change result from the fact that our farmers are not yet positioned and equipped with the required information to be able to make evidence-based decisions at the farm level to sustain their livelihoods.
The workshop is aimed at enhancing capacity of extension officers on climate information while strengthening their capacity on the components of early warning forecasts as well as community-based early warning systems. The importance of engaging key partners was emphasized since these extension officers will now be better equipped to share information to farmers and other persons in their field of work.
The training of trainers is based on the findings from the baseline needs assessment conducted last year to assess the access and use as well as level of interpretation of climate information and early warning messages and identification of gaps and constraints in the dissemination.
Participants are also expected to play a vital role in taking information back to the farming community, training farmers to access and use climate information to plan farming activities, and apply early warning systems to secure livelihoods against natural disasters. For the Government News Brief, Delicia Haynes.
Community policing liaison officers are undergoing training to equip them to handle issues that may arise in their communities. Tiffany Rogers has the details.
The training of 38 officers is being held under the theme Building Capacity for Promoting a More Peaceful Community Life and Social Cohesion throughout Guyana. Minister of Public Security Kemraj Ramjatan says that with the advancement in crimes and recognizing that community policing groups are usually first responders, it is important that they undergo training to handle conflict.
We are becoming extraordinarily violent in this society. And that violence comes largely from the community. And so this shocking violence that we see all around, that obviously is going to shake up the foundations of our society, our country, we have to take measures to ensure that it is halted.
Minister Ramjatan points out that Guyana has some of the highest rates in the world as it relates to domestic violence, binge drinking, and the use of legal and illegal drugs and suicide. The minister says that he is happy that the officers are being equipped with the knowledge to take on the challenges of dealing with social issues.
I am very happy this morning to see that this process has commenced, in which we are going to have training and further training. This is not going to be the end. And this all came as a result of the President at the National Security meeting indicating to us that we have to start developing human capacity in all the institutions that can help in relation to settling this security issue.
The minister urges the participants that in addition to the training being received, they must take it upon themselves to find ways to help solve conflict by way of self-learning. For the Government News Brief, Tiffany Rogers.
This has been another edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on GNews website. We encourage you to subscribe to our website and YouTube channel. You can also like and follow us on Facebook to be updated as the news unfolds. Remember to join again tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Renetta LaFleur. Thank you for watching.